What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Aerial Assault, and today we're here to talk about the new treetop hunting mobile sniper. Like I said, we're here to talk about this new mobile sniper, and there are so many features packed in this thing. I very seriously doubt that I will cover them all. It's just too hard to remember them all, but I'll show you everything that's going to be meaningful to me. And the one thing that most of you are probably noticing is how large this platform is. It is absolutely huge, and that's my favorite part of it. 14 inches wide by 12 inches deep. And what's different about the mobile sniper than most is, we have large platforms, and then, we have to stand bow-legged and try to get around the platform, or busy climbing around the platform. It just kind of gets a little bit sketchy on that step from here to there. Some people may be okay with that. I did it for a long time, and then we started getting into the larger, lower steps, like the lookout bottom step from RDA Outdoors, and that put us farther out, allowed us to have an easier transition. It also put the aider a little bit farther from the tree. And speaking of aider farther from the tree, you'll notice here, man, this thing has 6 inches of standoff on the top when you measure out here, but really this is not a section of the platform that would ever grip the tree. So it's about 5.5 inches from here to there. But what makes this thing different is, instead of having to climb with that big, large platform, it is completely removable, which is pretty freaking awesome. I got these tolerances a little bit tight on here right now because I prefer mine tight. For the video, I probably should have made them a little looser, but just to take it on and off so much. But as you can see, I got the platform off. I can carry this thing on my side, just loop that right in there, and now I have a flush climb platform, much like having the lower step. And all right, like I mentioned in the tolerances, which I'll show you, these got little key slots, and you can see those key slots there, and that's what these will buckle into whenever you're putting it on there. You see the grade 8 bolt sticking out there? They actually have a wing nut across the back. I'm sure you can see that, and I'll show you some better videos of it. But basically, you just take the 2 keyholes and you're going to line them up, and they will drop right in. A few of the things that I was concerned about before I ordered this thing was I thought that the platform would want to pull away at the keyholes. That's not an issue for me. Another thing is that he offers a third bolt. He gives it to you with it. So if you weigh over 220, 250 pounds, whatever, run that bolt through there, and then you have a third bolt. I asked him about this because I didn't know what it was in the packaging, and his response is that in testing this thing, which is rated for 300 pounds, when you put 300 pounds right out here on the end, sometimes you would want to get a little separation. So he added the third bolt, and all that does is that's going to keep that separation tight. Very cool. The other question I had is this thing going to be clanking, while I'm up there? And you can adjust those bolts to try to, get that tolerance as tight as you can. See, like I got to kind of push mine down in there a little bit, but not hard. It goes right down. So there's absolutely no noise on it. And if you're worried at all about there being noise while moving around on it, which I'm not, I've noticed that it's perfect. Plus, I'm going to be able to add some stealth strip, and those adjustable bolts will be able to, account for that. But there's a little hole right here, and that's for a safety pin. So you can take like a tractor pin, shove it in there, clip it on the back, and then that locks this thing in, so it's absolutely impossible for it to move. There's a lot of features in this thing that are thought out. And another thing I want to mention before I put this on the tree, and this is not a knock on anybody else's product, but the machining and the details and the tolerances of like these keyholes and how well they slide down on there, it's as top notch of anything I've ever received from any company. Even to the finish, the powder coating, It has a little bit of texture to it, but not as much texture as like in the Out on the Limb or the XOP stuff. It's not quite as protruding. You know, it has like sand particles in it or whatever it is that causes the grip. This is just a little less abrasive than that. Does not feel like this would ever chip under any circumstances. The entire stick's done in that. I'll just be honest with you, I am very, very pleased with the artistry, the craftsmanship that is in this stick. So, and something I completely forgot to mention because I was filming this with the platform on. Whenever you're taking this to the stand, you do not have to carry this thing separately or carry it as that huge top. What you do is if you look here on the back, there's a little wing nut, and you just keep that wing nut like that, slide it right through there. Your platform will then tighten right down. So now I have an easy method of transportation and don't have to worry about packing this separately from the stick. So it's all together. All right, so the first thing I would do is I would just unscrew this, try to get that off of there. I would recommend some steel strips right there just to kind of help. Make sure you don't incidentally make some noise, but overall the stick is not bad. So then take that wing nut and go ahead and screw that down. You just don't want that jingling during the climb or while you're hunting, incidentally touching that. And then take this, just like any other stick, I'm gonna put this around the tree. Then there's several pretty cool features once you get this thing on the tree that I'll try to show you. Aider containment, you know, there's several different variations to this out here that people use. He's got holes drilled in the step here. I'll try to show you that as well. And it just kind of contains your aider, you know, so it gives you a nice place for your aider to go. He offers aiders from the site. You know, it's just honestly every option you could ever want in a stick, they're on here. So I prefer a 3-step aider. You got my sticks going, or my standoffs, put the steps out far from the tree. And as you can see, I'm not stepping over a platform anymore. I climb with this thing on my hip quite a bit, zero issues. If you wanted to leave it on your pack, you could. And then whenever you get to the top, like I said, you're just gonna unclip this thing. And the way I do it is I keep standing on the bottom step and then I just lay this in there, just like that. Snap it down in, it's good to go. Whenever I get ready to leave, I'm just gonna slide it back up, put it here, and rappel down. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and stand up here and show you exactly how I do this. If I were on the top of my stick, it's just a lot easier to film all this from here on the ground. But if I were standing here on the stick, I'd make sure it's set good. I'm gonna take this, take it right off, keep it there on my left-hand side, and I would drop that right in. And I'm not yet tied off, but I wanna show you just how absolutely big this thing is. I don't need a saddle to stay in it. I mean, it is legitimately a large platform. I mean, we're talking comparative to the Predator XL, not quite as big as the Mission, but I mean, we're getting close. And there's a lot of cool features about this platform, even once it's on the tree, that other platforms don't necessarily account for, such as the width. The width on this thing is phenomenal, and it almost even kind of wraps around the back of the tree, so that when you want to sit down in your saddle and you come swinging down, you actually have a place to set your feet. You don't have to lay your feet up under you. But let me get tied off and we'll show you that. All right, guys, so now I'm up here, I'm getting tied off, and we can kind of test this thing out. Now, the one thing I will say is that, like any other stick platform, whenever you put all that leverage out there on the end, your stick's going to get a little bit of movement. It's more of a post flex. It's never anything that's bothered me. It's just, if you're trying to be nitpicky, you can be. But the platform itself out here on the end, like, I'm not feeling hardly any flex, actually I'm not feeling any. You may be able to see it. I've not watched this back yet, but I can't feel it. I just feel the post moving just a little bit. Completely comfortable. I like the fact that I can spread my legs out whenever I sit down, because it almost kind of wraps around and it's a pretty decent sized tree. Kind of wraps around here. I have somewhere to sit my legs or sit my feet whenever I spread my legs. So I do have some platform under me. I don't have to sit like this to have my feet on something. That's a very nice feature. I know there's a lot of guys who are going to want a angled platform. Hey, I get that, I do. It's just not something that I've ever felt the need for. If, for whatever reason, you know, that my ankles started bothering me because I was standing with my feet flat for too long, or, you know, my arch was bothering me from standing on the edge like this, which I don't do often. I like to stay up closer to the tree. If my ankles start bothering me, a lot of times I'll just take and put my heels in the platform, lift my toes up, and that gives me that 45-degree angle. You know, so to each their own on that. Currently right now, there's only a flat platform. But hey, how does this thing perform whenever you're up here trying to maneuver, get shots? You know, is it gonna flex off the tree or kick out off the tree? I've not had any issues at all, and I would bargain to say that nobody, at least in my weight range, is going to. This thing's supposed to be rated for 300 pounds. I don't have a way to test it for that. I'm 180, you know, fully clothed, probably closer to 200 by the time I have pack and all that. But as you can see, I can work around the outside here, make all the shots that I need to. And then even if I want to get on this back corner, as you can see, I mean, like, the back corner would be where any platform would want to kick out. You know, we've seen some other reviews of guys putting their weight on that back platform, and the platform wanting to close up or kick out or whatnot. And as you can see right here, I'll get right here. Man, I'm really hammering on that, and it's not moving. I can feel the stick flexing, but it's not coming off the tree. If I want to try to kick it, and I can come down in my tether a little bit, try to see if that does any better. It's as solid to the tree as you're gonna get, especially for a stick. All right, whenever you watch a lot of my videos, man, I try to put as much fact in there and as little opinion as I can, but there's always gotta be a little bit of opinion. My opinion on this one is, this is the best one stick I've ever used. It's a little bit heavy. If we're gonna talk about, you know, what are the negatives? A little over 6 pounds fully set up, but biggest platform on the market. It climbs better than any large platform stick. It has a better platform than any large platform stick. Really, so the weight is a slight negative. The price is probably the biggest negative. This thing, the way I have it ordered, I paid over $400. So it was expensive, but it meets all my needs. I mean, like, all right, I mentioned the price of this stick several times, and it is expensive. It's all at once. But if you look at some of these sticks, the RDA Outdoors is one of the better priced ones. But by the time you add kits like the Wingman kits and the lower bottom steps, the EWO, the Slick Rig, all of those, some of them get them in the upper $300 range. And at the end, you still have a smaller platform. There's some guys who are, you know, climbing to the top of the tree and carrying an extra platform with them. So that's an extra weight. It's an extra price. And then you're having to buy these lower steps to be able to have the flush climb. So at the end of the day, it's really not that much more expensive when you take into account all the things you have to buy to make them of equal value. There's no doubt that this thing will be my #1 stick this year while I'm saddle hunting. And, you know, if I decide to use a tree stand, I'll go a different route. But if I'm just carrying this in my bow and whatever I got in my pack, the way it packs up, it doesn't even feel 6 pounds. Very compact, very balanced this way. And then, you know, I can pack the extra platform on my side. Absolutely love it. The only other negative I can give is sometimes when you're climbing, these teeth bite extremely well. That's the reason I went to a grab handle. I tried to do it without a grab handle, which I've never done very well anyways. Once I put the grab handle on there, I don't have any problems. I can give it a good tug if I need to. So those are very small, minute negatives compared to the extreme positives. You know, I can tighten my platform up if I want to. You know, if there's any kind of added stealth strip, you know, I can back these off a little bit. I have a screw just for, you know, stacking my platform. The cam cleat's the same as anybody else's. I got locking pins to be able to lock the platform in the top. I got an extra bolt to be able to, you know, put a heavier person on. It's not often you hear me say something is the best. I'm not very good at that. But for me, today, when I'm looking for in a platform, this is the best platform and stick to date. But you're gonna pay for it. But if you don't mind, please go below, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications. And if you like this stick, go check out the Mobile Snyper.